Coming to you live with the insight you need from the financials and political capitals of the world to the heart of innovation. This is Opportunities to Consider with your host, author, speaker, and corporate strategist, Hunter Gaylor.
Well, hello, and welcome to Markets Hunter. I am your host, Hunter Gaylor, and I have the privilege of being joined today live. We are streaming across YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow. Markets Hunter CEO Talk is the only place where we go really in depth with the leadership and management of various companies from all sorts of industries, talking about the latest trends, the developments, where they're going, and really kind of getting into the weeds of the fundamentals of the companies. Really for greater transparency into the operations of these organizations, but also at the same time, giving you, the audience, exposure to some of the questions that might not be being asked. And that's why we like CEO Talk. And really, the idea is providing excellence in corporate messaging. And that's really kind of the whole premise of what we do here at Markets Hunter. So really, this is the leading platform. We will continue to grow to be the leading platform for communicating really global markets development. And that's what's really exciting. But I am joined here today with Joseph Frontieri. Joseph Frontieri is the CEO of Quad M Solutions, and their stock symbol is MMMM. And once again, that's Quad M Solutions. And what I'm really excited to talk about with you, Joey, is where your company's at, how it started, the ideas behind it, and really some of the milestones that you've been able to accomplish over the past, really 2 years. I know a lot of it's been, a learning curve in understanding an industry where you're taking on literally one of what I would consider as a markets kind of viewer, a massive industry. The gig economy and insurance, specifically health benefits, is something that's massively talked about. And that's what I really want to dive in today and discuss with you. Where do you see the industry going? What role is your company playing in providing these new and affordable level of insurance products? And really kind of talk about some of the issues you've had to overcome and some of the management decisions that, every CEO has to make. Not all things are lilies and roses all the time, right? And I'm sure you can attest to that. But I have read some of the articles in the press that have come out. It seems like you've overcome a lot of these tumultuous times, and it's really is squaring up for a really bright and exciting 2023. So Joey, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to go into some of these things.
So let's just hit it right off. Let's get the tough conversation out, because I know a lot of people are probably asking, what's going on with regards to the lives, the revenues. I know there's some press that came out. A recent press release that you just had that talked about how your migration of over 500 employee staffing contracts, but you ran into some issues.
Yes.
You ran into some issues, which is okay. Every company does. But I'd like you to go into what some of those issues were, okay? But what is the result of some of the actions that you took as CEO to get really almost a complete 180 for the company in a positive direction, it seems?
So I don't know if you know this, but we brought in Yakov Kogan to be our COO. He's also a seasoned CFO. And what he did right away when he came in was start to do an internal audit on some of these numbers that we were going through and some of the information that was being provided to us for people to be able to take advantage of our staffing solutions, and purchase some of our healthcare benefits.
And Joey, Yakov is a seasoned CFO of publicly traded companies before, correct?
Yes.
So this was an excellent choice on your part by bringing in someone experienced in C-suite to help kind of guide from a financial position a solid running of the company.
Absolutely. He's an amazing operator. His attention to detail is amazing. He's a scientist by trade, but he's perfect for what the, for this type of operationally heavy type of business that we're in. So he's an amazing guy. He's been very helpful.
So let's dive into a little bit about what was going on with the migration. He discovered some stuff. You spoke about this a little bit in your press release. Why don't you dive into that a little bit and discuss that?
So we were fortunate to find it before we started our new plan year, before we had our plan up and running for 2023, where unfortunately this happens. We have such a good product that it was being
Right.
a little bit abused by a lot of the people who were referring business to us from before the time that I came into the company, and really long established partners, where they were utilizing a plan that we really give, that plan in particular was really giving everything. It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was
Right.
before. And people were just really abusing the product. There were misrepresentations on their ability to actually be in the product, to be in our staffing company. And a series of these issues were going to cause major damage to the company going forward. So by us being able to figure out where all of these, misrepresentations were being made in this internal audit, which is still ongoing. We're going through company by company to see what has been provided to us over the last 3 years of operations. And at the same time, we're learning, and we have learned a lot based off of some of those findings that we found. So it's an optimist. I'm optimistic about the whole process, because even though, people were taking advantage of the product, it was still a product that people wanted. It is a product that people want.
So it was basically what I'm hearing is you brought in a seasoned CFO. You started doing an audit within your organization. You were auditing, some of these groups, and you found out that you were actually owed money according to this press release. I mean, it seems anywhere from 7 to over potentially in well excess of over $20 million. That's a significant, increase of money owed into the company. That's great for your bottom line. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just over the past 3 to 4 years, there have been a series of receivables that wasn't able to be correct or correctly brought into the company. And on top of that, there's been expenses that are a part of those receivables that we were supposed to have. So you can look at it as damages, money that we spent, money going out on money that we had never received. This was something that I talked about a little bit in the beginning, beginning of me being CEO, where we were trying to get our hands on all of that. It just became too operationally intensive in the beginning on onboarding and all of the things we were doing to grow the company, to be able to focus on that. So it's been great to have him in to be able to focus on not only receivables that didn't come in, but expenses that were paid out because of those receivables, which of course we are owed back. He has put together a strategy, and we've retained, specific counsel for collections to be able to go after this. A few of these companies are very, very big companies that we're going to be able to go after, and that we are in the process of doing that.
So you're actively putting together the pieces to, start pulling back some of this revenue that's owed to you.
Absolutely.
Right? Well, I guess that's what happens when you have a great product. People want to take advantage of it. So, I guess and that's not just for the insurance industry, by the way, that's for every industry, right? It's like the age old saying, sometimes too much of a good thing, right? People will take advantage of it. So, well, it seems to me like it's a really good leadership position that you took, but I'd like to dive a little bit, deeper into, some of the accomplishments as a result of doing this, where you're heading now with future products, partnerships, kind of what you're looking at trying to accomplish now as a result of some of these findings. Because the way I see it is, okay, there's 3 things, right? You know what you know what you don't know, and then you don't know what you don't know. And you can't be all things to all people. And I'm not going to say that you have the crystal ball to tell us where the company is going to be going in the future. I see where the potential, the market potential for a company like Quad M it has, especially when addressing the gig economy, because I'm a gig worker, right? And if I can have the ability to, participate in a program like what you offer. And with all disclosure, I've heavily looked into doing that for someone like myself, right? Where I don't have a large staff or a team, out there. So it's not as easy to qualify for certain, health insurance products. So talk to us a little bit about the products that you have and why this is so attractive for the gig economy or the independent contractor, or really, for companies below 100 employees that you can aggregate. So let's dive into some of that.
Sure. So we've been trying to go back to the roots of the company, which was to create products that were useful for gig economy workers, independent contractors, which makes up this huge percentage of the, of the current workforce. Um, so a lot of the things that I had spoken about last year was for us to be able to have a plan specifically directed and targeted at that group of workers. So we have a new plan that's going to be launching at the end of this month, which is it's a fully reference-based pricing. I can explain that if you need me to.
Yeah, why don't you go into that? I think that's helpful for the people that are listening. What is reference-based pricing for health insurance and health benefits?
Sure. Well, reference-based pricing is when we will pay out to doctors, to hospitals. I believe it's 130% of what Medicare would pay. So as opposed to negotiating on a network like Cigna or Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're able to negotiate directly with the doctors. We've teamed up with a TPA specifically for this that has experience in doing this, and they're going to administrate this plan for us. Also, why I like that product is we're going to be going after people 50 years old and under, maybe even 45, but it's the target that we want to go to, because for millennials, people my age, they're not really looking to have a specific network that they go on. They don't really even know what that means. If I wasn't in this company, I wouldn't know what being on a network really even meant. I just know that I have to have healthcare. Like by law, I have to have healthcare, or I'm going to pay a penalty. So the new product that we're going to be launching is it has, besides the benefit of it being reference-based pricing, we're going to be able to market it. This is something that we've had a few frustrations from shareholders about, that we don't market any of our products. This one is designed to be marketed. It's going to be very low.
So obviously, marketing is a tremendous thing. And I know that we've talked before, we're going to have you featured on our NASDAQ show, live from the heart of the Big Apple there in Times Square at the NASDAQ market site. So we're looking forward to that, where we can go into some of these things as well. But from a marketing perspective, obviously the gig economy is massive, right? Is there a particular area in which you're looking to focus first? Are you creating certain alliances? I know there's some things that you were going to talk about with, a kind of a higher base, or, working with some of your remaining clients. I mean, walk through some of the directional courses that you're taking from a client acquisition standpoint.
Yes. So there's a combination of old partners. We have contracts with like Advent Health.
And that was a big one. I did read that Advent is part of your marketing plan, and that's going to go out to how many doctors?
That's going to go out. I believe it's 3,000 doctors, but around 10,000 employees under all of those private doctors' offices.
And those employees will be able to help get this out. I'm sure there'll be some sort of referral program or something in there with we've teamed up with a broker that's going to be able to market to these individuals. That's not the same product as the reference-based pricing product that we were talking about. It's more that would be utilizing the actual Advent network. So instead of you seeing Cigna on the card, it would be Advent on the card, which is that's very exciting. And it'll be targeted to those people who are actually working in those doctors' offices. So besides being able to market it out, which would really be a plan for Floridians, since Advent is prevalent in Florida, that's one of our aspects. We've teamed up with a broker that's going to be. That was going to be my next question. Obviously, we see everything that's going on. This is Markets Hunter after all. So we do talk about markets, but when we sit and we talk about, leadership with people like you running a company, I mean, you're a millennial running an insurance company, specifically a health insurance company targeted after the millennial workforce. And you're seeing now with the jobs numbers coming out, the unemployment numbers, you're seeing a lot of tech companies that are starting to lay people off. We just saw this in the news. Under the current administration, we're seeing a lot of things. But I mean, you've created programs that are more affordable than the Affordable Care Act. And for someone like me, that's a really impressive feat, especially when you look at reinsurance and how you work. Yeah. Talk a little bit about how significant this is in the marketplace for how you're positioning Quaddim to be a leader. In my opinion, based on the things I'm hearing from you, being a leader in the marketplace for this, because, when I think of insurance, I think of the old gray-haired, big AIGs of the world, right? And here you're creating a modern approach for easy underwriting, easy qualification, and really, one of the largest, workforces is the gig economy. Talk a little bit about that direction.
So I agree with you. By utilizing this staffing solution that we've come up with, so not insurance, but it's a staffing solution. People have to join a staffing company to be able to take advantage of any of our products. We're able to then, come up with much more competitive prices because we're putting everyone into big groups together, so they support into a bunch of individual self-funded plans. So by utilizing all of the things that we've learned, like especially since Yaakov and this internal audit that we've been able to do, we noticed that we had to team up with a specific TPA that is able to run backgrounds on all potential employees, people that are going to join our staffing contract. We have to make sure that people are able just to alleviate any problems of misrepresentation in the future, being able to see information the first month as opposed to our current TPA where we weren't seeing relevant information to new groups until the third, fourth, and fifth month. So it was making it almost impossible to pinpoint any sort of misrepresentation or any of those sorts of things. But by utilizing a reference-based pricing plan, then we're able to create this $400 to $500 plan that really is out for millennials. And like you were saying, since the economy is like this right now, and there's a huge group of my generation that just needs comprehensive healthcare, by utilizing all of those steps that I talked about, we're able to offer this $400 to $500 plan to them.
Well, and one of the recent headlines that I just put up, you did have some significant the par value or the per price, the cost per client that you have exceeded your expectations from the last time you kind of gave a corporate update. And that was in excess or very close to $10,000 a client. So you clearly have proven the model here in the marketplace.
That's the way
correct?
to look at it. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's more of now, these are assets that we have. It's not just revenue. These are actually assets that we can assign to other companies, that we can sell to other companies, and produce additional revenue and additional profit and shareholder value from just us building our business.
Well, see, that's what I like to hear. I listened to a recent conversation between David Rubenstein. He's on Bloomberg,
yeah.
And he was interviewing Jeff Bezos, and he asked him, what do you think about your stock price? And he said, he's like, I don't even look at the day to day. He says, I don't look at it. He says, I focus on the revenues, the growth of the company, management, and what I like. What I'm hearing is that seems to be the same steps that you're taking in your business. So, outside of what the day-to-day ticker price would be for those day traders, I think the more institutional investors and the people that write the larger checks understand the value of insurance. They understand the value of the gig economy. They understand the potential market size, right? Because that's really what investors do. They look at the fundamentals of the company outside of, it's really interesting, Joy, and I want to get your thoughts on this. But when you start analyzing companies, and you always see towards the end of the year, and remember, we're in Q1 of 2023. 2022 was a very tumultuous year for the entire economy, and every major industry took a hit. But we did see a lot of short selling happening. We saw a lot of naked short selling happening. We even saw end of the year tax selling, which affects every single stock, not just yours, but every major stock. What is the message that you have to the shareholders that are tracking the stock on a daily, kind of on a daily tracking trend, if you will? What's your message to them on the long-term growth of the company, and stop focusing on the stock price, start focusing on the actual revenues of the company? Because I looked at your revenues, and your revenues were through the roof, and it shows that you have healthy fundamentals. Now, as you bring on these strategic relationships and advisors and partnerships, I mean, if you're able to claw back close to $20 million, your revenues, it seems to me, and I don't want to put the words in your mouth, but as an analyst looking at this, and as a media professional, it seems to me like you're setting a foundation for exponential growth for 2023.
Absolutely. I mean, my message to shareholders would be that the whole reason everyone got involved in this company, and from the shareholders that I speak to, was this idea of being able to service this huge portion of the economy, of this workforce that are very underserved. And they don't really understand how all of this works. They just think it's a broken system, which it is. So by doing all of the work that we've done and being able to just really find out what increases our margins, what makes a healthy plan, all of the technology that we built, being able to put in this referral network that people have been asking for forever, all of those things are helping us execute on this idea and this dream of what Quad M originally was and has been. So with all of these things that we've learned, we're positioned to just continue to operate, continue to execute, continue to grow, and make just good decisions for the company in the future.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think this is very important, and I think this should be highlighted because as the age-old saying goes, and I'm probably misquoting this, right? But they say age is just a number, and in your case, I really want to highlight the fact that you are a millennial running an insurance company that has built an incredible technology platform that is tremendously undervalued. Because when we look at from a stock price perspective, or even a market cap perspective, for that matter, but when we look at the gig economy and we take into for example, the target gig worker, or the millennial, that's that Uber driver, that's the Lyft driver, that's the person that's the DoorDash delivery person that may not be making the $100,000 a year job, or work for a company that offers health benefits or dental or vision or anything like that. But these are ones that also, and this is, once again, I've spoken with a lot of executives, and I mean, you've seen me on the NASDAQ and stuff. So I've had a pretty broad coverage in this, and I understand the insurance industry pretty well, specifically from a risk management perspective. But it seems to me that because of the lack of financial literacy that we have, specifically in this country, by you creating this platform for Quad M, especially with where the revenues are going to be when you get this 20 million in from these other people, it seems to me you're creating a very simple, easy to use onboarding process, which helps explains the benefits of why Quad M and versus Blue Cross and Blue Shield, right? Right. I don't think the average person knows, oh, hey, it's open enrollment, right? Let me go find, what insurance product I need because I need health insurance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are the technology aspects that you're implementing as a company from, a marketing this product out there outside of the network, but to the gig economy worker? I mean, is it going to be a lot of social media? Is it a lot of here's a YouTube ad? I don't want to make it that simple, but I assume these are things that you're going to be doing.
Absolutely. I mean, millennials are easy to market to. You just have to have a product that's good. You have to be able to get it onto social media. You have to get it in front of the targeted audience that you want. And you have to make it simple for them to be able to onboard. So we'll be rolling out those things through the first quarter on how people can do that in an easy way. But since we don't in any way cater to, I don't know how else to put this, but to sick people or to old people. That's not that we can't help you in those situations. If people are sick, they should be joining real insurance companies, so that.
Well, you're a real insurance company. Let's not you're a real insurance company, right?
We're
Yes,
a staffing company that has a healthcare solution. So we're not a platform to take care of those types of people. We're a platform that's been developed for years to take care of people like myself, people that are independent contractors, gig workers, so that it's not a place that's going to solve those problems. This is something where it's going to solve the problem of giving individuals easy, simple healthcare that is sustainable healthcare. They can rely on it if they have to go to the doctor, if there's some sort of horrible event that happens, that they're covered. That's what we're there for. So since it's a much simpler message, it's easy. That's why I was saying this. It's easier to market, or I believe it's going to be an easy task to market to individuals.
Well, especially the gig economy worker that's looking for an easy solution,
Absolutely.
Right? We're seeing a lot of tech-driven insurance platforms now that are being adopted by these larger insurance providers that may not necessarily, have the wherewithal, to target the gig economy worker or the millennials, because they're not millennials themselves, right? So
Correct.
You're already taking a step above, right, by creating the platform and the insurance products. Because it's products, you are coming out with multiple products, as you mentioned earlier on in this discussion. But I really think it goes past that. I think it goes past the idea of, hey, in fact, I'd like to ask this question. You mentioned it earlier of where, if I'm a millennial and I don't have a doctor, or I wouldn't know where to go, I wouldn't know about open enrollment or anything. I work for DoorDash. You get tens of thousands of people that work for DoorDash, and Uber. Where do I go? And where's a doctor in my network? How do I even go about doing this? So you had mentioned earlier that your platform takes care of that for you, right? It takes care of that thought process for me to say, look, you're going to get good coverage. You're going to get, the right attention and medical and benefits that you need. Dive in.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, could dive into the importance of that versus, the other insurance products that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my generation is about simplicity. So when you're on a typical insurance, you have a network. You have to go to that network's website. You have to figure out the doctors that are in your network on your level of coverage, who's going to accept it. That's not the case with reference-based pricing. So it was really important to develop a product specific for those people. So when you're on a reference-based pricing plan, either utilizing PHCS or any of these reference-based plans, every doctor can be on the network. So if I want to go to a doctor and a friend of mine knows a doctor or has gone to a doctor before, which always happens. Whenever I'm sick, I ask a friend who lives where I live, who should I go to? Instead of finding out if that doctor's in my network, we already know that it will be on the network. So now it's just about, if I have to go to a doctor, I can go to any doctor that I want to go to.
Now, from a pricing perspective, after you went through your audit, because I want to go through the timeline here, because I think it's very important for our listeners and viewers to understand. You started the platform with the goal to go after the gig economy. You go through the reinsurance. You're a millennial CEO going after the millennial gig economy worker. Great story so far. You have really great revenues and quarters from 2023, from a Q2, Q3, Q4. Little bit of some stock stuff going on, but we already addressed that because of, market sell-offs and, just where we are as a country. So I understand that. And now you bring in some senior executives, specifically on the financial side of things, and operational side. You conduct an audit. You actually find out that, you're actually entitled to more money than what you have. You also found out that you got more money per life than what you had expected. And now you're putting out new insurance products, bringing on more veteran insurance advisors into your company, and creating strategic partnerships to help you go after this market. So, in recap, that's really impressive, right?
Yeah,
when you think about it.
We're also working on a few acquisitions that is going to go in exactly of what you're talking about. Hopefully we'll be able to get those out in the coming weeks, where our acquisitions are going to be, really directed towards getting people who can advise in this sort of industry. I mean, now that we have all of this data, which also is extremely valuable, we have this platform. We spent over $1 million making our platform. So that's a very exciting thing. By combining all of those things that we've learned and what we're doing now, it's just the future of the company is now going to be, a lot more in our hands. We'll be able to direct our product to exactly where we want it to go to increase our margins.
Well, and one of the other things that I want to note here, that what my producer's telling me, you actually, as CEO of this company, you've actually put your own money into this company as well.
Yeah, there's been plenty of times where I've had to front money to the company. I haven't collected the money back yet, of course. So I have a huge incentive to make sure that the company works. To make sure
that's a pretty good incentive, right?
Yeah,
ideally we want the stock price to increase. Obviously, we want the revenues to do that, right? And you don't want dilution. That's right.
So if there was a time where I can prevent dilution, I've definitely taken that opportunity as many times as I could.
Yeah, well, I think that's absolutely incredible, and I just want that to be noted because very few CEOs that I know of put their own money into companies. So I think that's of note and that's of merit because when you're building a company, and when you're building a company, it's about the foundational principles that you're putting in place, and when you're there and your employees see that. And the team that you build that, hey, you're not just some hired gun, you're actually building out a solid organization, regardless of what, the daily ticker, says. I think that's very important.
Yeah, I believe in what we're doing. I am part of that underserved generation. It's a really stupid generation, but unfortunately, but we still have this generation that's underserved. And we don't understand as much as people need to about how simple this can be. It's very overcomplicated, very expensive. You're not really getting much for it. And it's not specific for that person. It's not really what we need right now. So I believe
and from a gig economy perspective, what really intrigues me is the fact that it's affordable. It's more affordable than the Affordable Care Act under Obama, which I find absolutely incredible. When you see everything that's gone on in the marketplace, being able to position Quad M Solutions as a leader in the marketplace for this particular, division or I'll say industry sector, sub-industry sector from the insurance, because insurance is, all encompassing. But this particular industry sector within insurance is really incredible. So I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of the company. Just a couple more points I want to go over for our viewers and for the audience. Where do you see the next 3 to 5 years from a growth perspective? I mean, you mentioned earlier that this new product is increasing your profit margins by 10 to 20%, right?
Absolutely.
So as you bring on new products, what is the ideal growth target? And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what is your annual growth goal that you're looking for? I mean, is it a 10 to 20% year over year growth? I mean, what's the ideal target that you would be happy with?
As long as we're executing on what our beliefs are as a company, which is to give simplified healthcare solutions to smaller companies and to this gig economy that we keep talking about. Like you said, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't see why we wouldn't continue to just grow at a really great rate. It really just has to do with us being able to market correctly and get the message out. It's a lot of people have been frustrated with us not being able to start marketing or getting these things out quick enough. But as we entered into this new year, and now that a lot of the tasks are being handled by people that we're bringing into the company, it's just perfect time for us to be able to go after what we've been trying to go after. So as we continue to add products like this new one, acquire companies like the ones that we'll be announcing hopefully very shortly, I don't see why our company can't grow it, reasonably extremely fast. Definitely more than what our market valuation is.
So that's an interesting point. So part of your growth strategy outside of, selling and acquiring, gig economy market share is also through acquisition. So you have identified and are continuing to identify, targeted organizations for acquisition to assist in revenue growth and market.
Yeah. Absolutely. Especially any company that has a broad range of being able to tap into the market that we're trying to go after is perfect for us. So we've identified a bunch of them. We're in talks with a few of them, and I believe we're going to be closing them, very shortly.
No, that's really exciting. And obviously you'll be putting some press out about that and you'll be discussing that. No, that's very good. Well, look, we've hit all the points today, Joey. So I think this has been fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to cover before, we kind of end today?
Well, I'd like to point out that we did all of this growth during 2021 and 2022 with no marketing. We haven't marketed. There are no marketing materials or no marketing materials were used to grow any of these revenues that we've done over the last few years. So I know that people were frustrated by that, but it was a very good thing. The amount that we've been able to learn is just, it's so valuable that now that we're able to finally put marketing together and go after exactly what we want to go after, this is just going to be a great year for us. So, we're very excited about this.
No, that is exciting. So that's actually a good point to note that this was all done with zero into marketing. So when you actually start putting stuff into marketing, it's actually going to increase. Obviously, I mean, it's got to be more than zero. So, that's just, that's just, but anyway, so Joey, thank you so much for joining us today on Markets Hunter for our CEO talk. It's always great to, speak with industry leaders, especially millennial industry leaders that will be able to watch the career paths on how they just, grow and flourish with, market experience. You're bringing in a lot of seasoned executives as well around you, which I think is great. One of the things that I want to focus on is health insurance and coverage is a significant thing that's going on in this country today. It's a major politically talked about point. The market's not a box would move if it wasn't for insurance. So, health insurance is obviously coming out of a COVID, even more important. So I think you're in a great industry sector. And we're going to look forward to following the growth of Quad M Solutions and some of these acquisitions. So I'm very bullish about it. Where can people find some more information and follow you?
They can go to newaccess.com. Unlike other millennials, I don't have enough social media, so it's difficult for them to do that. But as we roll out this product, because before it wasn't useful for people to be able to find this, it had to go to our referral network, and we were only utilizing that network. We couldn't be proactive in getting it out to other people. But for this new subsidiary that we're launching, there's going to be this brand new website that we've been talking about forever on that. The company is Radiant Staffing Solutions. So as this starts to come out, we'll do press releases, show how people can find all of those things, and then just watch our feed for announcements that are going to come up in the following weeks.
Well, I think we definitely will, and we will put and cover all that information on the Markets Hunter platform, where you can go, you can see the recent interviews, you can see the conversations. We look forward to having you live at the NASDAQ market site, where you can talk more about some of these bigger partnerships, some of these announcements. I know you're rolling some stuff out at the end of this month, as you had mentioned earlier in the conversation. So we'll definitely keep abreast to what's going on. Once again, it's Quad M Solutions. We're joined by the CEO, Joseph Frontieri. You can check out their stock symbol, which is MMMM. And, for more information, you can follow on Twitter. Make sure for Markets Hunter, for all of our viewers, right? If you want information up to date, follow on LinkedIn, follow on Twitter. This isn't the only thing that I do, right? So stay very tuned in, because I do share a lot of the updates on Twitter from numerous companies. I like being a host, and I like having these conversations with these leaders, because it's these people and these individuals and through their companies that are the backbone of this country, and really kind of how we grow as a country, and we grow our these middle market companies with the market caps that they have, and it's seeing those market caps grow. It's a rising tide lifts all ships, and I believe that if you can create a healthy workforce, that healthy workforce helps drive a better economy. Because if you're sick, you can't work, right? And we don't want to face another national pandemic, but if we do, at least people will have health coverage, especially the gig economy workers. So, Joey, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to speaking with you again. And once again, thank you all for tuning into Market Hunters. This has been another great CEO Talk with CEO and founder of Quad M, Joseph Frontieri. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Good to be here.